Beyond.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to episode 55 of Podcast Beyond.
55?
Beyond.
We are, 55 is a nice round number. 2 5s in a row.
Mm-hmm.
That's no other significance than that.
Add them up, you get 10.
Yeah, that's also
Speed
true.
limit in some places.
Ooh, I Can't Drive 55. It's a song by Sammy Hagar.
There you go.
It's a pretty good one.
55.
Let's get right into the show, since I have to go to EA in a little bit for the studio showcase. You guys will be seeing reports on probably by the time this goes up. Let's get right into the rope report then.
Time for some news.
So there's not a whole lot to talk about this week. A lot of it was a bunch of crap. But here's what we got for you Australians out there, or people that are visiting
G'day.
Australia and want to buy a PS3 while you're there.
Oh, I'm Rip Meadow.
God.
Get off the plane.
G'day, mate. The 80 gig PS3 is going to launch down there, it looks like, according to billboards and stuff, for pricing
Billboards.
on August 28th for 699 Australian
A
dollars.
steal.
Wow.
So there you go. I guess the 120 gig Elite 360 is 649 down there, I guess. So, $50 Australian dollar difference.
Competitive.
There you go. Batman Arkham Asylum was announced, coming from IDOS. That is it's a new Batman game coming in 2009. It's based on the graphic novels of some sort, as opposed to the movie.
Yay.
Sweet.
So that's pretty cool.
Paul Dini's writing it, too, which
Yeah.
is a big deal if you like Batman.
Yeah. DJ Max Fever was announced for the PSP, which was, correct me if I'm wrong, Greg, but it was called DJ Max in Korea.
It was DJ Max Portable over there,
Yeah,
the
there you
first
go.
one, and then they put out a sequel that was just DJ Max 2.
Yeah. So now that game's coming to the U.S. The Madden PSP pack is out, along with,
Blue PSPs all over the streets.
yeah,
You
along
can't
with,
walk 5 feet without seeing them.
yeah. Of course, Madden's out everywhere, too. And last bit of news I'll mention today is that the apparently Sony has sent a brand new PSP model to the FCC for approval, the 3001 model.
Mm-hmm. A Space Odyssey.
Yeah, Greg, you called Sony for a comment,
Plus
but
a
nothing yet.
Millennium.
Yeah, no, we're waiting, so that's why it's not up yet. So don't hold it when it goes up. I hate it when you do that, you jerks. Trying to get a little bit more information, Ryan. And some kid wants to write 3 letters at the bottom. Old.
Yeah.
10 names worse.
So anyway, there you go. That's the end of the thing. Greg? How can you tell us what games are coming out this week?
I have a handy-dandy list called the Official IGN List of Upcoming PlayStation Software on all 3 platforms by the IGN editors. Nice. That was a good
Pretty
one.
good.
Of course, it's Madden week, so that's what dominated all 3 of our SKUs. PS3 just had Madden, PSP just had Madden, PS2 had Madden and Hannah Montana, Spotlight World Tour, and apparently, according to EB, B-Boy, which last week was only, according to EB, on PSP.
No, it was PS2.
Other way around, so that's old news,
like
whatever.
PSP isn't coming out for like another week.
Ah, well, there you go then.
Oh, there you go.
They've done a great job advertising this
Yeah.
B-Boy.
Yeah. What are you gonna do?
Pick of the week. It's got to be Hannah Montana.
Oh, totally.
Yeah.
Actually, aren't we also throwing in Bionic Commando?
Actually, yes,
Which
that
comes
is
out
true.
today.
Bionic Commando comes out today on the PlayStation Network.
Along with Street Fighter Alpha, PS1 Classic.
Dude, we're already hopping onto BlogNet.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Bionic Commando is a hell of a title, so that's my pick of the week.
Madden? What Commando?
What?
Was that English?
Madden or
I swear he's
Bionic
not using
Commando?
real
Yeah.
words.
I say go with Bionic Commando. Madden's
Yes,
also a solid
absolutely.
pick, but there you go. Absolutely get Bionic
BC
Commando.
all
Yeah.
the way.
It's like, the greatest download title of the week, so
Madden
definitely
is
get
pretty
Oh,
damn good.
greatest
though.
time of the week?
it. There you go. We don't really have any trivia tips for this week. There aren't any games. We talked about we talked about Uncharted last week. There's nothing really
Make sure you
new to-
play Uncharted through on hard the first time.
Yeah,
so you
if
don't
you
have
play
to
through
play hard
on
again.
normal, you won't get crushing. Play through on hard, I guess. That's your
Tip
That's-
of the week.
that's just the tip. Not much to it.
Are you saying they're not going to feel that tip?
I don't think that they're going to feel it. Yeah.
That
Let's
was over
topic
the
of the
line.
week. Next week is the German Games Convention, as some people like to call it Leipzig.
Yep.
And some people, we won't mention names, don't know that German Games Convention is synonymous with Leipzig, but that happens.
Yep.
Not understandable.
Wait, that was you, Ryan Clemens?
No. It was
wasn't.
somebody
It
Ryan
better
was
not have been.
corresponding with. Anyway,
That's funny.
so the show's next week.
It was
Sony,
just a miscommunication.
Yes. Sony has said that there's going to be some 12 announcements made at the show. which is going to be pretty big. Ryan, you're going to it.
I'm going. I'm ready to go. I got my ticket, got my bag, my
have a
passport. Got it.
If we have done the time conversion correctly and the schedule that Ryan has holds true, Sony's press conference will be Wednesday at 5 p.m. in Germany,
Right.
which, if my time conversion is correct, again, this could be off by an hour or something, will be approximately 8 a.m. on Wednesday. So next Wednesday, tune in. Greg and I are going to be doing the
Morning shift
of posting all the news and stuff coming from that.
Don't
we
screw it up,
expect
Brian.
we
I
expect
won't.
some fairly big announcements out of this thing.
I'm gonna live blog that
Personally,
crap.
I'm expecting to hear about Uncharted 2.
That'd be awesome.
It'd be pretty good.
The thing about it, these announcements, do we know? I mean, could it be that the announcement is something we already knew, or
it could be.
an announcement of a new Infamous villain? I mean, something like that. I mean,
Yeah, I mean,
okay.
it could. They could be minor things. I would imagine at least one or two big things. The 12 could incorporate a bunch of smaller stuff. Hey, we've got a new, Pixel Nook Monsters pack coming out. Could be one of any sorts of thing like that. So
Yeah, but the other thing too is that like because this is David Reeves and he's the head of Sony Europe, a lot of it could also relate solely to Europe. Although
also
some of it
true.
will wind up filtering out to the rest
Yeah,
of
that's right. I
the
remember that.
territories. So some of it could be stuff like the DVR player that they just recently like decided to
I
release
forgot all
in
about
Europe
that.
and
Yeah,
everything
when I went
else.
to Leipzig last year, that conference was all about Europe stuff we were never
there's
going
a
to see.
certain percentage of this of these big 12 that are really going to be Europe featured and then or Europe focused, and then the rest of it will filter out to everybody else.
And then they're also, like last year, you also get, or I guess it was earlier this year and some other thing, but you get a fairly bit of confusing news where they could say, in Europe, MotorStorm Pacific Rift is coming out on this one day, and you're like, well, what does that mean for the U.S. or other parts of the world? So,
Right.
yeah, we'll see, how much stuff actually totally applies. But I expect at least a few game announcements. Maybe they'll show off a new level from Fat Princess.
First-person Patapon.
There you go. First-person Patapon could be coming.
And most
Patapon interaction with the Rock Band drums.
that would be excellent.
Wow, that'd be awesome, actually.
That'd be fantastic. It could also be something where they start talking a little bit more about home beta dates or
That's very certain.
something else. I mean,
That's
especially
actually
because
very likely.
everything has been coming out of the European offices with that.
Yeah.
That's a definite possibility.
Most definitely. So, I mean, I think a lot of people are expecting to hear something about Uncharted 2. What are you guys expecting to hear about? I think maybe something from Ready at Dawn. They haven't announced what they're doing yet, so that could be something on the plate.
I think we'll see more Infamous. That'd be a good bet, I think.
That makes sense.
Probably a lot of Little Big Planet stuff, too. You'd figure we're right on top of that, and they haven't really cranked the machine up on that one.
Yeah.
I think I forgot if it was on the blog or somewhere. I may have actually just seen it floating around online.
Or made it up in your head.
Or I made it up. Yeah, this could be an elaborate fabrication. But the Alex Evans, or is that it? Or Alex Simmons?
Simmons from IGN UK?
No. The one of the head guys behind Media Molecule that's working on Little Big Planet.
Oh.
I think it's Evans, but I'm not sure. So don't quote me on that. But one of the guys said that there was a huge thing in Little Big Planet they haven't even talked about yet. That's going to really surprise people, and I think we might hear about that.
I guess we would have to hear about it there because the game comes out in October.
Yeah, so I
unless
think it's like I guess
unless
there's
they save it
one
for
more.
TGS.
There's one more
Like
like
right
huge
before.
surprise that people aren't even expecting with the game that'll put
Robots.
it even more.
I bet they
It
pull back.
becomes Skynet.
They pull back, and the Sackboy universe is in a marble.
That would be awesome.
Mind blowing.
Or it could be like that intro to The Simpsons where they start at Homer's eyeball or whatever, and they zoom in, and then all of a sudden it's like the universe, and then it comes back in, and you zoom back into Homer again, and it's this giant cyclical thing. It could be that. Little Big Planet is cyclical and like brings you back to yourself, and your Scientology thetans like run off into
The body thetans.
Yeah.
Wow.
Xenu.
I was reading about Scientology this morning. They were asking where Isaac Hayes'
You're
soul would
reading
go.
about Xenu?
Well, there's a report on where Isaac Hayes' soul would go.
Where'd he go?
I don't know. They didn't explain. They were like, if he got to
A certain level.
if he got to a certain distance on the bridge, which is what you apparently go to after you become clear, which is after you've been audited and your thetans are now cleansed from your body or whatever, then you can actually get to a point where apparently you can choose who your next parents will be, and then you're reborn into them.
Oh, okay.
And like if you sign up for this organization, you do 1 billion years of service through all of your various incarnations.
Wow.
So it's pretty complex in there. Anyway.
Wow.
Didn't
that's
a novelist
odd.
make that religion up?
Yes,
Yes.
L. Ron Hubbard. Yes.
I don't know if he made it up as much as he founded it.
Off of a bet.
Well, he created it, so he made it
Off of a
from
bet.
nothing.
Or it could have been discovered. He somehow came across secret documents that talk about the volcano that exploded and had that Xenu or whatever trapped inside the volcano. And Anyway, we're tangenting here.
Yeah, indeed we are.
So back to Leipzig, or Germany's Games Convention, as some like to call it.
Yes.
What are we going to see anything huge? I think from the show as a whole, not even Sony specific. I mean, it's
I feel like Sony might have. They'll have the biggest out of the three. Big hardware.
Nintendo's
Yeah, we
manufacturers.
always say that, though.
No, but it's true. I mean, Microsoft is barely doing it. According to Brudvig, they're barely doing anything. And Nintendo isn't even going to be there.
Nintendo's not going. But
so Sony by default has to be.
Remember, Microsoft had the thing where they were supposed to show Bungie's next project at E3 and then held it back at the last second.
Okay,
so they could be holding that for there, which would be pretty big.
Although
for them.
I don't know if you saw, but Brudvig, I guess they hinted at what is coming in the Edge Awards or something. Did you see that news story? Or it might be a map. It might be a full map editor for Halo 3.
Oh.
So I mean, that might be fully discussed at Germany's
I want you to
convention,
toss your objectivity aside, and if that's what it is, you just boo them.
Just boo them.
That's a stupid announcement.
Just throw
Can't
my
believe
pen
you delayed this for a month and made a
onto the
huge
stage.
deal.
Well, that
Just
might not be
countdown
it.
clock. Boom.
Maybe it is.
Boom,
Maybe it is
Ratchet!
the next actual game that's coming from Bungie. But
Yeah,
I was
don't
under
boo
the
them if it
impression
happens.
that they really, at the very least, they weren't communicating very efficiently with us about that stuff. Maybe they're trying to either keep it under wraps or something like that. I don't know.
Well, I don't know. We'll see. But it's the German Games Convention is it's getting bigger and bigger as E3 is getting smaller and smaller. So it'll be interesting to see how it holds up this year and if that has any sort of impact on what E3 will be like next year if it comes back and all these other sorts of things. So aside from me personally, aside from wanting to see whatever Sony's going to announce at the show, I'm interested to see how big it's going to be because it's going to have impact on all these other shows. Like if it's not very big, but then TGS gets blown out, does that impact these other things? And if Leipzig is huge, does that lessen TGS? And does it kill E3? Or so that'll be kind of interesting from our standpoint. Ryan, you've never been to Germany, have you?
No, I haven't. I'm
You're looking forward
excited,
to the
also nervous.
beer and sausage.
Yeah, that's
And
not
pretzels.
gonna.
And pretzels.
They have pretzels. They have
will be good.
pretzels at breakfast.
That's what I'm talking about.
It was awesome. It's awesome.
Yeah, I've never been, so.
It's a great place.
I hear that they have a lot of beef there.
Yes, they do.
A lot of beef.
Yes, they do.
It's going to be problematic.
It is tons of beef.
Roll of biff, dude. Roll of biff. Beer is food. That's what it is. Just consume as much beer as you possibly can. And they got the thick stuff over there.
Oh yeah.
It'll give you
Stick
lots of
to your
calories.
ribs.
I could be mistaken on this, but I saw somewhere that beer has more vitamins than milk. So there you go.
Interesting.
I can
Yep.
believe it.
Keep you healthy.
But getting back to the show, one of the things about Leipzig is the fact that it is surprisingly a more PC dominated show, primarily because Europe has a heavier PC market because that is where a lot of things wind up coming out. Now some of those aren't ever going to be seen, like the strip poker games or some of the other random things that you find released there, but some of them wind up being ported over to console. I mean, like when Supreme Commander was shown, that's how we got a sense of what that game would look like on PC, but we also had an idea that it will most likely wind up coming over to the 360. Obviously it didn't come to the PS3, but depending upon whatever it is, you're going to see a larger focus on PC games, and then depending on who the company is, you'll probably find those migrating over to consoles. A lot of the console makers are pretty much rolling out things that the Europeans haven't necessarily seen from Japan or E3 or some of the other places, or their preps for TGS. So they're just little teasers of stuff. Or in another case, it's stuff that's already been released here, but it's just going to be getting over there. So it is more like their E3. So they're getting a sense of things that have been out here for 6 months to a year that are just getting over there.
So in other words, Charles is totally effed because he has to cover all those PC games.
Yes.
That is more than likely true.
Poor Charles.
Very
Poor
good.
Charles.
Our heart goes out to him.
Ryan, have you practiced your German at all?
I was looking at my little pocket German book that I got, and that is a very difficult language to speak.
Just play a bunch of Wolfenstein.
Play a bunch of Wolfenstein.
Mein Leben, that's all you need to yell all the time. Just walk around the city yelling, Mein Leben!
I don't know what that means.
Means my life, I think.
My life.
Something like that.
Too bad Talkman didn't come out for that. Huh?
I know. I was actually
The
thinking.
one time we could have used it.
Talkman, I could have downloaded it and learned all my German and
Picked up the
had some pickup database with mini games.
There you go.
It's the perfect flirtation device.
Yes. All right, let's get on with the show. What's happened with the PlayStation Network this week?
Well, we've already talked about two of them. Bionic Commando Rearmed comes out. Get that. Do it. Do it now. Do it live.
Unless they don't like action platforming games.
Even
Unless
if you
you don't-
don't,
unless you
still
don't like
do
video
it.
games.
Do it now. Do it live.
If you hate good
Then
games.
Street Fighter Alpha, the old PS1 game, is going to be released today as well. There's going to be at least 4 separate demos. 1942, Bionic Commando Rearmed, of course, NHL 2K9, and Tiger Woods 09.
Tiger Woods, y'all.
And there's also going to be a lot of video released on the PSN today as well.
Very
Is
good.
the next episode of Zammed going to be there?
Ooh.
That's a completely separate update.
We didn't talk about this last week because we didn't have it downloaded yet, but people should go download that Last Guy trailer.
Yes.
Download The Last Guy.
There's an interview up with the developers of Last Guy, and it will rock your foundation.
It's a behind-the-scenes documentary. We actually did mention this.
Yeah, we talked about it a little bit.
Did we?
I think,
But we want to
Have we
keep
seen it
pushing
yet?
it. We want to keep
I don't
pushing
think
it.
we've seen
No,
it.
we've seen it.
Yeah, we've
No,
seen
I don't know
it.
what
But
I'm
we
talking
want
about.
to keep
It's
pushing
actually
it.
up on IGN too. Now I think about it, so whatever.
And also, just another reminder, if you haven't gotten the home theme, just grab that so that you have an opportunity to get into the beta.
Oh, yeah, I got to download the
Yes.
home theme.
See, Ryan hasn't done it.
Gotta go home.
Weak sauce. All right, let's get into reader mail.
Milk.
Chain mail?
It's Mel Pattern
Mail, mailman.
Bonus.
Male,
Maelstrom.
female.
Our first question comes from BB Sin.
Babysit.
He says, with Sony likely eliminating the 40 gig PS3 and the 80 gig backwards compatible Metal Gear Solid 4 bundle, do we think this is a wise decision on Sony's part to only have one SKU on sale, which will be the 80 gig, whatever they call that when it comes out? Does it come down to less choice versus less confusion? For my money, I like having just one system on the market because there's no question about it. And I think when the system launched, it was just so damn expensive that they kind of had to have a couple different options to say, hey, we only cost $500 when there was also $600. And I think Microsoft was trying to do the same thing where they're like, the real system's at $400, but
The
you
real
get
one.
Well, the 360
real
at $300 was stupid because you had nothing to save it on. If you wanted to play online, you didn't have a headset. I don't remember if it came with component cables.
It was terrible.
It didn't have a
arcade
wireless
unit's
controller. Yeah, it was like just to get up to speed, you'd spend more money than $400. It's dumb anyway. But no, I mean, I think you're going to be getting a complete system, and you're not going to be missing out on anything. I think having just one system on the market is the way to go.
Yeah, the only thing is that they should have like the same features across everything.
Yeah. I mean, so long as there's always a hard drive, and you get the DualShock 3, and then we're all set. Bredesen says, do you think that Sony and Nintendo are going to just let the PSP and DS ride as long as possible until one or the other jumps with the next big thing? That's a pretty good question. I see.
PSP
Right now,
oh, go ahead.
well, I mean, from the Nintendo side, Nintendo, I mean, it's killing with the DS. There's no reason for Nintendo to do anything to that, at least for a couple years.
It's crazy how popular that thing is.
Yeah,
still.
it's
They're
really
also
insane.
just pumping out like 15, 20 games a week at times.
Yeah.
A lot of it's crap, but I mean, every now and then you're going to find a diamond in the rough of something that nobody expected.
Yeah, so now that's kind of the opposite between the DS and the PSP, where the DS has a crazy amount of software. Everybody's supporting it. People are buying stuff for it, so it's all good. The PSP, on the other hand, if you look at our release date list, doesn't have a whole lot of games for it, and it seems like the stuff's dying off. And so it's sort of like, does Sony bring in the defibrillators, release a new PSP, and kind of hope to, jumpstart, development for its handheld market again?
I don't know if it's necessarily like that they need a new system as much as they actually need to just kick people into developing for it. I mean, whether that's just getting out more kits, making it easier for them to make UMDs or whatever the hell they need to do, but the lack of things coming out on release date schedules by themselves is enough to make people go, why? Why are you guys doing it this way? What's going on here?
Well, they might already be working on another PSP if that FCC filing is correct.
Yeah, well, it seems like it's probably just a revision as opposed to a brand new
Right.
system. But
Even if that's just like...
Was the Slim called 2000 or 2001? Because didn't you say this one was
I think it was
3000?
I think it's 2001. Yeah.
2001.
Yeah. So.
But I mean, that could be just something where it's like, okay, it's got a brighter screen and a larger battery life, but it's the exact same thing as a Slim.
I was kind of hoping it would have like new analog stick.
Okay, have like, that would cause too many compatibility problems between the two.
Right.
They would want to launch a new system to have another analog stick, I would assume.
No, I'm not saying a whole nother stick.
Oh,
I'm
you
just
mean
saying
different
like
kind.
better
an
analog
improvement
Yeah.
over the nub.
Yeah, that's certainly possible. Dan Kukayoku. Dan Kukayoku.
Huh?
Dan Kukayoku says...
Is he Hawaiian? What?
I don't know. He says, do you think Sony will remove all PS2 backwards compatibility from the existing PS3 SKUs without notifying the owners of the consoles? He says he could use the PS2 code breaker on his 60 gig system since January 07, and by August of this year, right now, after firmware 2.4.2, this feature was removed without an official statement. So he wants to know if backwards compatibility would just be pulled. Well, remember that using the code breaker on the PS2 is not a feature that Sony created in any way. This is software that somebody else made to sort of like hack the system to let you, manipulate the memory and install codes and stuff. So that's not something that Sony would necessarily support. I don't know what caused it to break, but I don't think that Sony cares one way or the other because it's not like really a product that needs to do. And backwards compatibility isn't 100%. A solid 100% even in the 60 gig one. There's a couple games here that don't work quite correctly. So this happens to be one of those things now. It's not really a surprise to me that it doesn't work now because it was kind of surprising to me that it works in the first place on the system. But there's no way in hell that Sony's just going to release like some sort of update that removes backwards compatibility from the system. That would just cause a crazy uprising.
Do you think, speaking of like the code breaker and stuff, do you guys feel like cheating is on like the decline, or just like like inputting codes and unlocking crazy stuff, or invincibility in God mode and stuff? I feel like when I was a kid, that was like the
everywhere.
rage. I was doing that
Game
all the time.
Genie.
The Game Genie.
Yeah,
I thought it was
Game
so much
Sharks.
fun playing Mario, flying through levels and such. But now I don't think people really do that anymore. I feel almost as if it's kind of
handled
worn
in a
off.
completely different way though, because like not only do you have people where it's just like, okay, here's a game save, everything's unlocked, or here's this, and you can pretty much do whatever. Like the way that the codes are being handled, or some of the ways in which it's done, is completely differently. But there's also like almost a stigma against it, where you've got like kind of these people that are like, well, that's not hardcore enough. Because if you do it, then obviously you're not playing the game, or you suck at it, and so there's also a schism within that whole thing too.
Well, I think there's two angles to this. Is number one, if you create a code for a game that lets you just basically dominate it immediately, you kind of take away from the work that the people have done making the game. So if but it can also help at the same time. So if you make a game that's super hard, but you've put all this work into the last few levels of the game, you're going to want people to see it, so you're going to want to give them a code to help them get through and get to it so they can kind of see it. But also, if somebody is just completely plowing through and not using, the cover or whatever, like exploring stuff, and they're just blasting through the game, they're going to miss some of the things you put into the game. I think that back in the day before the internet was around, back when we were playing the Nintendo, 8-bit system and all that kind of stuff, codes were great because if you couldn't beat a game, or you got stuck or whatever, you couldn't do anything, then they would help you actually get through the rest of the game because you'd see it all. Nowadays, with everybody online and there's guides available for everything, you can get our guides for free, or you can find people who have made facts and stuff. They will help you get through the game as it is. And then you get games have built-in codes, like Uncharted has stuff all over the place where, after you beat the game and you've done so much stuff, now you have infinite weapons, you can toggle on and off and all that kind of stuff. So, you get those codes rewarded to you through the game as opposed to button impresses that you put. So you still get it, but it's a reward for you for having played the game correctly the first time, and then you can go and mess around and have some fun with it or whatever.
Right.
But I think from what I would assume is that the biggest thing is that you can get help and stuff online, and now it lets you get through the game. Plus, games these days are a hell of a lot easier than they used to be.
Yeah, there's a much more casual focus. I mean, like a lot of the games in the Nintendo era and like
they were
Genesis,
impossible.
There was no
they
help.
were just like kick you in the nuts hard, and the developers knew it and they designed it that way. And it was like, hey, you beat it, yeah, you've got props. But it was also a smaller niche like group. Now it's a lot more mainstream. You've got a lot more people that are actually interested in doing it. So the difficulty level has actually declined. So when you get things like a Ninja Gaiden or something else where, a developer is like, you want to make it through this, okay.
Well, the Ninja Gaiden 2 was much easier than the first one.
Well, right. But I mean,
So,
like, if you're gonna do something where you've got a designer who intentionally goes, this is going to be a challenge. I'm specifically making it so that not everybody will finish this game, and if you do, you've got props. Like, that's actually something that people take note of now.
Yeah. Moving on, Simmer8596 says, Siphon Filter on PS3? Could it happen? Will it happen?
Wish.
Oh, yeah,
I
that'd
wish.
be awesome.
Oh my God. At E3, I lobbied the bin guys for, I'd probably say a good 15, 20 minutes about bringing out a Siphon Filter, not only PS3, but PSP, and finishing up what the hell they did with the cliffhanger at the end.
Kicking ahead to leave it that way, man.
Yes, it was. Greg and I have had this discussion multiple times over, and they're like, well, we don't know. Like, we're kind of thinking about leaving it that way, and I can't tell you the scream that I let out in that private booth.
Yeah. I think Siphon Filter has been... I think the PSP games have been so well received and so beloved by people that played them that it would make zero sense to not bring it to the PS3. So I think it's got to happen.
Most likely it'll be after MAG. Like
Yeah.
when they finish Mag, like that might be the next thing on their plate. Don't quote me on that, especially because a lot of them are also just focused on getting that up and a few other projects that they weren't.
Zipper.
What?
You're talking about Zipper.
Well, yeah, but I mean, like some of the bin guys were also doing some of the work with parts of that. Like they were doing, I think, some part with the interface or something
Gotcha.
like that. Yeah, they've got a couple things that they're working on.
Very good. Rassicle, Racekill or whatever says, do you think wandering around in home with a basic avatar will forever be free? I think absolutely, because home's basically an advertising thing, in some part at least. If you charge people to go in there and
if they did, it would be a disaster.
yeah, nobody would get it.
We've given you this for free for 6 months, and now you need to pay us to continue
The
to
reason
go.
that home is going, if it does work, the reason that it'll work is you go in there, you play it, you're like, oh, cool, I'm addicted to the minor stuff. Let me pay 50 cents to get a new shirt or to go into this thing or whatever. Let me pay another $1 over here. It's the little tiny things that get you over and over again, but you got to get people into it to get you all that kind of stuff. So, Lefty04 says he needs our advice. He currently has a PS3 and a Wii. However, he can't remember the last time that he played his Wii. Should he wait it out or sell it to buy some of the awesome PS3 titles coming out this year, like Fallout, Little Big Planet, Resistance 2?
I say never sell a system because you never know if you're gonna get something cool down the line.
I am largely in agreement with this statement. I think if you have no money and you really can't afford to get some of these games and you really want to play them, and then it's sort of like, how many games you're going to play for the Wii versus how many of these games would you play for the PS3 that this would afford you?
Yeah.
So, I don't know.
You just lose so much money when you sell or like you trade back a system because the amount of money you put in versus the stuff you get back.
Unless you can fake out a kid who doesn't know any better.
Yeah, if you're never going to play it again, that's one thing. But I mean, if they release another Mario game for it, you're going to want to play it.
Yeah, eventually the Wii's going to have another game you need to play.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, that's just the nature of the thing right now.
I mean, I haven't played mine in about a year.
I don't turn mine on all that often anyway. I haven't turned it on since Mario Kart, so I mean, it's like it's there for when I want to do something.
Last game I played on the Wii was Super Mario, which was last year sometime. Let's see. Jigget says he says
Gold Jigget.
His PSA name is what happened?
I don't know. I think
Jeff,
you're
keep the
back?
score.
You're back.
My snare, my headphones.
I heard you the whole time.
Did you?
Fine.
Yeah, we can hear you
Very
fine.
good. He wants to know if Killzone 2's gameplay is just like the first one with, and this is his statement, a horrible aiming system, or has that been fixed and it's fun to play?
Fixed, fun to play.
Fun to play.
Very good. That's easy to answer.
Ding.
Let me go through here.
Bada bing.
Let me get this. Rich. Rich 76, I guess, says, does the team think that the console branding has become so important to a console success that companies have become scared to call their consoles anything else? Xbox became Xbox 360. There's been PlayStation 1, 2, 3, PSP, or PlayStation Portable, and Sony's already talked about the PS4. Nintendo has gone against us a little bit because they have the Wii and
GameCube, 64.
GameCube, but they all have the Nintendo name in there,
Right.
so you don't call it the Microsoft Xbox, but you do call it the Nintendo Wii. But in the past, you had things like Sega had the Master System, then they had the Genesis, and all these sorts of things. They had the Saturn, which didn't, those games didn't basically they weren't sequels essentially. So he wants to know what we think about this.
I like having a family of PlayStations or whatever. I like that for right now. I mean, it might get ridiculous one day to have PlayStation 7 or whatever, but
I think
PlayStation
the
9
risk
when you inhale the robots and.
Yeah.
Well, brand recognition is a powerful thing, though. I mean, like, even when I went over to like Japan for the Square event, I went out with a group of people, and we were talking about like a group of Japanese guys that Caleb knew, and we were talking about systems, and we were just like throwing out different systems, and the name recognition and the brand is really important because a lot of them were just like, oh, Nintendo, and they were just like popping out like everything, but it was because Nintendo was such a powerful brand name. Didn't matter what the system was. It's like it's Nintendo, and then depending upon whatever else you threw out, like you could obviously go, well, yeah, there was like the Master System or the Genesis or whatever else. But people know whatever that name is, especially if it's powerful or it has a really really good set of games attached to it. Some of the other ones, like you could mention Neo Geo, they'd laugh hysterically, but I mean, like it's one of those things that if you associate a certain game or a certain number of games with a certain system, that's all you really need. People are going to remember what that is.
Yeah, I mean, I think the thing too is there's so much money and time that goes into games in general, but also creating a system that, it's not worth the risk. You might as well call it the PlayStation 4 because it'll sell, as opposed to calling it the, crazy box or whatever.
Right.
Yeah, so.
Yeah, I mean,
Although that would be awesome. I would totally pick up a crazy box.
that would
The
be
best would be
sweet.
when you unlock a platinum trophy on the crazy box, like confetti shoots out the back.
Exactly. That's because it's crazy. But especially if you have people that have memories that they can attach to, like, oh, I remember what I did with my Xbox.
Yeah, I remember the first time I bought a PlayStation.
Yeah,
so I'm
that's
just-
going to be it. You're done.
Lee wants to know if we have any idea if SmackDown vs. Raw 9 is going to retain its, and then again, this is what he says, horrible targeting system, or if it will bring manual targeting back.
I know what he's talking about, and I have not had that question answered yet.
There
But
you go.
again, I've had 2 hands-on with it, and none of it was tag matches. It was tag matches, but none of them were the opportunity to present itself.
Gotcha.
I'll know more later on, hopefully with my next preview, which should be coming soon.
Oh, teaser.
Toby writes in with the weird email of the day. I think this is kind of a crazy game idea.
Wait, shouldn't we have a theme for the weird email of the day?
I don't,
Ryan?
I don't know. Yeah,
It's the weird email of the day.
there you go.
You always add an extra doodly do. I only do 2 of them.
All right, so I'll pretty much read this word for word.
All right, let's do it.
I'm not gonna kind of skip around like I normally do. He says, "Do you guys think that there's a possibility of having a God of War / Uncharted joint game?"
What?
Hold on. You could play co-op online, and the storyline would be like Nathan Drake and Kratos are conjoined at the back and have to find the pirate god to free you. There could even be a little splash of Loco in there where the Loco go mad and try to eat Sully. So have you guys heard any news about this? If not,
heard news about it.
if not, could you please pitch the idea to Sony?
Is this just a joke,
Toby,
or is it?
I don't know.
Toby, step away from the shrooms, please.
Loco Roco's trying to eat something. That's my favorite
Toby
part.
is divorced, and he's part of HR, so he's not really part of any family.
Well, he also
Wow.
went to, where'd he go? Costa Rica or something?
Yeah.
Yeah, so,
I don't know. I haven't watched recent episodes.
yeah, he
Like,
jumped
you missed one of the best
you
ones ever.
jumped the fence.
Like
Wow.
the greatest reaction to some awkward situation like
Yeah.
that. Well,
Well, I'm going to Costa Rica. See you. Vesper writes in, says, any news on the possibility of Metal Gear? Actually, a lot of people write in.
Like how we didn't even answer that previous
Says,
question.
there is no answer to
yeah,
that.
it hasn't been announced.
Yeah.
It
We
will
will
never
pass
be
it along to
announced.
Sony for you.
I've heard the game might be called God of Charted.
God of
But
Charted.
that's
God of
probably-
Charted,
anyway.
the Pirates of Lost Locos.
Yeah. Anyway, Vesper and a whole ton of other people write in and says, any news on the possibility of Metal Gear Solid 4 getting trophy support? Jeff, you tried to call Konami. No
Yes.
luck?
There is absolutely no word whatsoever. Even in development, that was one of the things that they had rumored that it could possibly wind up coming, and it was one of those things that has been mentioned in a couple different interviews here and there. But right now, as far as we know, there are no plans. Even Kojima Productions most likely is working on their next title than focusing on patching trophies. But if we find anything out, we'll definitely make sure to let you guys know.
There you go.
Or we won't. We'll hide it from them
Totally.
and get all the
I won't
trophies
tell you.
first.
And blame Ryan and send all of your emails to Beyond at LGN.com.
That'll go
Renaud
to you as
says,
well.
yeah. He says, will there
I'll
be
block
any
them.
other advantage for having obtained a high number of trophies besides being proud of yourself and gloating to your friends? For instance, is there a reasonable chance that someday hardcore gamers will be rewarded with invitations to closed betas, rebates for PSN purchases, whatever? Some of these trophies should, if the thing ever launches and works the way they promise, should tie directly into trophies and home. So you have little virtual things people can go into your apartment when you're online and see them. But other than that, probably not. I mean, I guess
It could be developers' preference.
yeah, I mean, somebody could always say, "Hey, we're going to have the Warhawk 2 beta," and so anybody we're going to look at your profiles and see who's played Warhawk 1 a lot and base it on the trophies you have, and then get you in there. That's totally possible, but I mean, nothing's guaranteed or whatever. So, somebody writes in and says, "If you use my letter, can you just refer to me by my first name? Thanks," but then never put his name on here. So.
Oh,
Now, okay,
Epic
so
fail.
I think I'm assuming his name starts with a W.
let's call him W.
Yeah,
Dub?
so we'll
Dub.
call
What
him
up, Dub?
W.
Hey, Dub.
He has this is a fantastic 2-part email.
Do it.
We'll do the first part first, which is separate from the second. First part is he was curious what all of us have as a most wanted downloadable album for the Rock Band franchise? Single album, we're not talking a band here.
Weezer, Pinkerton.
Wow.
You think that's an
Pinkerton.
awesome pick?
Yeah, I would love Pinkerton.
I'd love to do some Beatles.
Which
on Rock
album?
Band.
You got to pick one.
Hard, isn't it?
No, Sgt. Pepper's, I guess. I don't know. That's the one I bought recently.
Whatever.
Well, not recently. It was a couple months ago, but that's still somewhat
Yeah.
recent.
I got to go with, man, Zeppelin would be good, but I got to go with a Tool album, and I'll probably go with Anima. It's my favorite album.
Nice.
But,
Jeffrey?
Ooh, might be Hendrix.
Not a bad
The
choice.
Electric
Lista
Ladyland?
Hendrix.
Yeah, like I'm trying to think of like which one though.
you could just do the, it could just be the greatest hits.
Yeah, I'll just pick greatest hits for now because I'm just thinking of which one and I'm having a hard time picking.
Very
But
good.
it would definitely be Hendrix.
There you go. So W's second question is he writes in and he says, Greg, I have a problem. My
Hit me
buddy
with
and I scored ringside seats for this Sunday's WWE pay-per-view SummerSlam.
Big one.
Imagine our disappointment when we discover that the Great Khali is in the world title match.
I agree.
As a fellow wrestling fan, I would imagine that you were also disappointed, so I propose a trade. If you perform a world-famous rant against Khali being in the main event of the second biggest pay-per-view of the year, I will create a Podcast Beyond sign and hold it up at SummerSlam to be seen by millions. This would make my overpriced ticket worth it. Thanks. I don't know, but to me that sounds like it's time for a rant.
Well, did I hear somebody say rant?
Damon, where have you been hiding?
What's up, Podcast Beyond?
Oh my God!
Oh, well, Greg can rant like nobody else, as listeners of GameScoop know. So, Greg, I think it's time for you to tell the world what you think. There's some sort of wrestling business going down.
It's true. Nobody likes the Great Khali. That's
Oh,
the big
no, I
problem
hate
here.
that guy.
I know.
Man, I hate
We
that
do
guy.
need to point out to Dub that, first off, for this to go, because first off, we're going to get 1 million requests now for people requesting rants.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
you're the test subject here. So if you screw us over on this,
not happening.
it's
Never
never
gonna happen
happening again. So what you need
Never.
to remember when you do this is the sign has to say Podcast Beyond, nothing about IGN.com, because we don't want WWE confiscating it right
Yeah.
away. If it says Podcast Beyond, they should let you in. People Google it, they'll find us no problem. And you also have to hold it up as much as you can. Like,
Yeah.
I don't want to see other signs.
It
I
should
just
be
want
up
to
the
see
entire match.
the
And
whole
you should-
entire event. Like
Yeah,
there's
the
many
entire
matches.
event, yeah.
I don't want to see it just during the main event either.
And you should yell Beyond as many times as you can.
When it's quiet, so
I agree.
people
When
can
it's
hear
quiet.
you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, they're gonna brawl around
How many
ringside. and
times
if-
does it get quiet at a wrestling match?
no. Well, they'll get when they wrestle around ringside. The cameras follow them.
Okay.
So if they really are ringside, at some point in the night, someone will be in front of them with a camera to where they can hold up the sign and go Beyond.
And now, as a call out to any of our readers, if you are recording if you're going to watch the pay-per-view,
Yeah.
put it on DVR or whatever, and then if you can't take a picture of your screen or whatever, just bust out a camera, take a picture, send it to us, so that if we can't happen to see it, then we'll have evidence of this and we'll stick it in the next podcast story that goes up.
There you go.
So yeah,
All right. Well, Greg is all fired up. He
I'm
now
mad,
he now
Damon.
has 60 seconds to tell the world what he thinks. Greg, are you ready?
I'm ready.
And go.
Thank you, Vince McMahon and WWE. Let me paint a picture for everyone in the room. I know I'm one of the main huge wrestling fans here. You have an awesome guy named Triple H who does really cool moves, but he's getting older. Doesn't take these huge bumps, not huge moves anymore, right? He likes to get out there and wrestle other guys who are cool. So what are you going to do? You're going to look at your roster. You have Edge, Jeff Hardy, MVP, Mr. Kennedy. Awesome guys who are very athletic and can make a Triple H match look excellent. They're going to take the bumps. They're going to do cool moves. It's going to be great. Instead, you put the Great Khali in the match. 7 feet, 3 inches, 420 pounds. He can't be picked up. He can't take a bump. He can barely move. He walks to the ring like a Frankenstein, like a screwed up Frankenstein. You're going to put him in the main event to wrestle for the WWE Championship. Good job, Vince McMahon. Way to prove you are way behind the times in the world of professional wrestling. Great Khali, you are a horrible human being and a horrible wrestler. I paid to see Get Smart, and you were awful in it. I'm sorry I had to say it, though.
Another spirited rant from our own Greg Miller. I didn't understand any of that. But I could feel the passion,
For
though.
the 5 wrestling fans listening to Podcast Beyond, they understood every freaking second.
Passion is the universal language. I
feel
could
the
hear
heat
the
coming
passion in
off
your
of you.
voice.
It's true.
I could
coming
tell
out
it
of
was
his
important,
pores.
and you were upset about something. Something or other.
All right. So W, you got to hold up your end of the rant
screw
now,
this
or
up,
the
W.
end of your bargain. Greg has done the rant. You got to hold up that sign. We want to see Podcast Beyond all over SummerSlam.
A special thanks to Damon Hatfield
Hey,
for joining
Damon,
us
thanks.
on
No
Podcast
problem.
Beyond.
Thanks for having me.
Now get back under the table and finish your job.
Oh no.
That's how you treat your guests around here.
He's cleaning up our trash.
Oh, no, it's not true.
All right, our next email comes to us from Puppy Dogs SC1. Says, do you know when the
That's a
bike
good
update
part.
to Burnout is coming? And is there going to be a demo for the Star Wars Force Unleashed, and when? The bike update for Burnout is coming sometime in September. No official date yet. Note that if you read my preview, you'll see that the trophy patch is separate from the bike update, but that's also sometime in September. So it could be the same day. They could be a week or two apart.
Are you excited for that?
Yeah, I am. I'm very excited for it. I played it. It's bikes control super well.
Yeah.
They're very fast. The day-night cycle is awesome. The weather doesn't really change anything. It's just kind of a visual thing 'cause it doesn't rain or whatever. But, yeah, I mean, it's going to be rad. And then as far as the demo for the Force Unleashed, yes, there is going to be a demo. It will be out sometime, I believe, before the end of the month. The game comes out September 16th, so you should see it in the next couple weeks. The cool thing about it is, from my understanding, that at least part of the demo is not going to actually be in the game. So it's a unique thing to the demo itself. And
That's such a great idea.
Yeah, it's
I hate
pretty awesome.
playing the demo and then getting the real
Having
game
it
and having
spoiled.
to do that
Play
again.
through the
It's like,
game,
I
yeah.
already played these levels.
Yeah, so that's very good. LB writes
I
in
agree.
and says, in the last podcast, I mentioned that there needs to be a fighting game that is based entirely off of physics. Actually, a lot of people wrote this one in. And he wants to point out a game called Torabash, which I actually have played a couple times, or at least I've tried to watch because that thing is incredibly complicated. For anybody that doesn't know, Torabash is this free, awesome physics-based thing where people are basically made out of like circles or whatever. But it's like you start with basically like your, ragdoll figure type dude, and you put in all these inputs the guy's going to do. You're like, move his foot this way and with this much force or whatever at this speed, and then you hit play and you watch these things unfold, and there's blood, so you like watch your guy do like a kick flip and like kick the dude's head off and then like spin around on his hand and like punch him in the stomach, and then like his body flies apart. It's awesome, but it's completely physics based, and it's really difficult to control. This is different from what I was talking about. I want a real time fighting game where you're doing playing like Street Fighter or whatever, except that it's all physics based, as opposed to Torabash, which is sort of like a strategy fighting game, I guess you would kind of say.
Because it's not in real time. You're like inputting commands.
You input
beforehand,
commands
right?
and then you watch them go. But it is awesome. So go check that out. Torabash. So search for that thing. Bill writes in and says he's actually written through this a couple times. We just never had read it before, but he's so adamant about it. I want to make sure this gets up onto the podcast. He wants to thank Greg for saving his life in some way. He lives in Western Massachusetts and he works in Connecticut, and his parents and sister live in Maine. So it leaves him with an hour-long commute to work and a longer one if he wants to spend time with his family. He listens to our podcast on the way on a lot of these drives, and he's been a gamer for a long time. Anyway, one Friday night during the summer, he got out of work late and was headed to Maine, and at about 1 a.m., he was still only two-thirds of the way up through 95 North when he started getting tired. He admits that he should have pulled over to the side of the road, but he was just trying to get home, and he was irresponsible.
Well, he's a man.
Yeah, well,
A man would keep driving.
So
A child would pull over.
So he kept driving, and his eyes drooped, and apparently he actually passed out at the wheel. But he was awoken timely just after he fell asleep with Greg yelling, "Pick of the week." Pick of the week! There you go. So, and then that woke him back up instantly, and he was able to complete his trip without incident. So no matter what anyone tells you about the yelling, obnoxious though it may be to some, that's what he says, on that particular night, that scream rang out loud and true as the voice of my guardian angel. He thanks thee.
You're welcome,
So,
Bill.
There you go.
There you go.
Actually, shouldn't
Enjoy
you scream
life.
that you're welcome, Bill?
No.
You sure?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm positive.
All right.
All right, Jeff.
Hey.
I'm not your monkey. Yelling, I want to yell.
Dance, dance, monkey, dance.
Greg scored.
There you go. That's right. I'll give you a peanut later.
Here's this thing here. Let me see if we got any more emails up in here to read before the
Up in
show's
here?
over.
Up in the shizzle.
Up in this
I think,
business.
Up in
I
this
think
dancery.
no, that's all the time we have for emails. But let's get right on to while I have it right in front of me. Let's do hit of the week. Hit of the week. Mr. Adam 5 writes in. It says he was playing Soul Calibur 4 online and he came across a player named Broken Mirror. He picked his character and he was playing a random and needless. He says he was playing random and needless to say. Okay, so yeah, he picked a random character and came up with whoever it was. Didn't say who it was, and he won his first match. On the next match, he picked the other guy picked the same character that he had just beat him with, and then he won that one 3-2. So 3 rounds to 2.
Okay.
Still a close match. The other guy, Broken Mirror, then proceeds to call him with a lot more colorful language. Pathetic, says that he should learn how to play the game, and then just immediately left the game. So Mr. Adam 5 wants Broken Mirror to be the hit of the week, and I think this sounds reasonable. If you're going to go on there, you're going to talk trash. You're going to tell people that they should learn how to play the game when you barely won a game and call somebody pathetic. You deserve to be beat down. So that guy's going to be a hit of the week. His PSN ID is broken_mirror.
Okay.
There's a capital K in there.
So usually lately we've been doing hit of the weeks as friends. This is an actual enemy.
This is an actual enemy. Seek this guy out and take him out.
I would review the PlayStation rules, codes of conduct before you start sending messages.
Do not send bad messages to this guy. That will get everybody in trouble.
Well, if we just send him saying he's pathetic.
No digital horse heads in
Yeah,
beds.
I see. I wouldn't do that because you would also risk getting complaints against yourself or whatever.
Yeah.
But go find him in games, gang up on him, and kill him in there. So go find him in Warhawk or whatever he's playing, and then everybody from Beyond starts shouting Beyond at one time. Go in there and kill this dude.
That'd be awesome. That's a YouTube video I want to see.
Yeah.
Just,
like
people just swarming on this.
If the board members can actually band together and then find what games this guy plays, and then
Leroy Jenkins.
and then Leroy Jenkins, but then coordinate on a hit and all join his game at the same time, or invite him to a game, see if he can come in and then kill him at once and post the stuff on there with everybody yelling Beyond over and over again. That would be fantastic.
PSN lethal hit confirmed.
So broken hit is
Broken underscore mirror.
PSN hit is broken_mirror. That's right. This brings us to our last rounding up segments. Ryan, you want to tell us about the tournament winners?
Actually, Beast didn't contact me at all today. I was surprised. I hope he's okay.
I guess winning Canada or whatever they were trying to do didn't go too well.
He got trampled by a moose.
Canada. Oh, God,
He's a POW.
He got trampled by a moose.
Yep.
They're an indomitable force. So I hope Beast is okay, and we will just hear from him next week, hopefully.
There you go. Editor Beatdown, how's the NCAA thing going?
It's good. It finally started. Everybody's happy, kind of. We got people in there. Bad Flounder had joined. Then his PS3 died. We added another people, though. We're good to go. I won my first game. We're not playing each other yet because we're doing Big 12 Conference, so we have all those non-conference games to get through. I beat Illinois something like 27-14. It was close for the most of the game, and then I got pulled away at the end. I thought that was good, but then Sticks and Picks won his first game 93-0.
Yeah, there's some where you will get lopsided ones.
Well, that's the thing. Illinois is a real team. He was playing Florida Community College.
Yeah, like if you're like Oklahoma or Nebraska, and all of a sudden you get like FCS, there are certain times where you will just roll over these like really weak squads.
Very good. I think that brings us to the end of the show. I don't think I'm missing anything here. Who's got the song for us this week? Ryan's writing
We're
a note.
discussing that right now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
okay.
I know what do you want me to do with it?
I was just hoping you guys could randomly chime in as I try and do
sure.
this, because
we probably do that.
I haven't heard the song in a while, but it just suddenly came to me.
Okay.
Are you singing the Cheers theme song?
No.
That'd be dope.
Oh, should I just do that instead?
No. Do whatever you want to do.
I don't even know why I'm thinking of this song, but are we ready?
Either.
Yeah.
Let's get beyond. Ha! Let's get beyond. In here. Let's get beyond. Ha! Let's get beyond.
In here.
And the team keeps running
and running and running and running and running and running.
Lose control of body and soul. Don't take it fast. You just gotta take it slow. I don't know the rest.
That's good. That's good.
Beyond and let's get it beyond.
Everybody, thank you for listening. As always, forgot to mention this at the end of the email. If you want to send us questions for that, send it to beyond@ign.com or hit up our boards. You'll find posts on there. So we'll see you next week if all this madness here doesn't kill us, or I kill myself because of all this madness.
I'm not that pretty, but people think I'm hot. I'm Fergie.
Oh, Fergie, no.
Thinks I'm cool. I played a hooker, lesbian, something other in Grindhouse. I'm Fergie, and it's complicated. Cause Fergie, skin on my skin. Fergie.